Let's dive right into this explainer. Right now, most Americans think the 2026 FIFA World Cup is, well, just another sporting event. You picture a few weeks of soccer, packed stadiums, some tourists, and high TV ratings, right? It's the illusion of simple entertainment. But behind that entertainment, something much bigger, much quieter, and honestly, vastly more powerful is already happening. We're witnessing a massive financial transformation unfolding right beneath the surface of our economy. Wall Street firms, major real estate investors, tech giants, and institutional money managers, they are quietly and methodically positioning themselves. They aren't preparing for a game. They're preparing for what could become one of the largest, most concentrated economic events in modern American history. $41 billion. That is the absolutely staggering amount of money projected to be generated in global economic output by this single tournament. We're talking hundreds of thousands of jobs, millions of visitors, an enormous tidal wave of infrastructure, technology, tourism, and real estate spending. Wall Street and institutional investors are tracking this exact $41 billion figure because it has the power to permanently reshape parts of the American economy. Because, make absolutely no mistake, the 2026 World Cup is not really about sports. It's about money. But here's the catch. While billions of dollars are preparing to flood the market, millions of ordinary Americans remain completely distracted. And look, for good reason. Over the last several years, families have watched inflation slowly and painfully erode their purchasing power. Groceries cost more, insurance costs more, healthcare costs more, mortgage rates remain painfully high. You might actually be feeling this yourself right now. That deep, pressing retirement anxiety, wondering if your savings will truly be enough. This invisible wealth shift is happening right behind those very real distractions of our current cost of living crisis. Section 1. The American Advantage, monetizing what exists. To really understand this wealth shift, we have to grasp the sheer scale of what's coming. This will literally be the largest World Cup ever organized. 48 national teams, 104 matches, 16 host cities spread across the US, Canada, and Mexico. We're expecting an estimated 6.5 million fans attending in person, and potentially billions more watching globally. When you look at these numbers, it hits you. This is no longer just a sports event. It's a sprawling, humming, global economic engine. Now, the crucial point is how America handles an event of this massive size compared to previous hosts. Take a look at Qatar in 2022. They reportedly spent hundreds of billions of dollars building entirely new infrastructure from scratch. New stadiums, new transportation systems, literally entirely new cities. It was an enormous national debt project. With the United States, we're playing a completely different game. America doesn't need to build a country for the World Cup. It simply needs to monetize what already exists, and that dramatically fundamentally changes the profitability. Because this infrastructure is already in place, the U.S. enters this tournament with an incredible financial advantage. The stadiums, the airports, the hotels, the highways, the restaurants, the entertainment districts, and the tech systems, they're already built. Instead of spending decades trying to recover massive construction costs, American cities and businesses are gearing up to capture enormous amounts of incoming global spending almost immediately. Every major economic sector connected to consumer spending is preparing for an absolute surge in demand. Section 2. The real estate ripple effect. For most middle-class Americans, real estate is the absolute foundation of long-term wealth. And right now, short-term rental demand for the tournament is already surging. Cities like Dallas, Miami, Atlanta, Houston, and Los Angeles are seeing massive investor attention as businesses prepare for those millions of incoming visitors. Some analysts actually believe that certain property owners in these specific host cities could generate months of extra income just during the few weeks of the tournament itself. But the real opportunity doesn't just stop at temporary tourism. Global events attract something much more powerful than tourists. They attract long-term investment capital. Think about it. When global companies begin viewing these host cities as international business destinations, that leads to corporate expansion. That corporate expansion drives permanent infrastructure growth, and ultimately that results in permanent property value growth that lasts for years afterward. This matters enormously for middle-class Americans whose retirement plans and inflation defenses are tied directly to their home values. Section 3. The invisible technology winner. So while real estate might be the most visible side of the story, technology may actually end up being the biggest financial winner of the whole shebang. Most people still picture the World Cup as just athletes running around on a grass field, but the 2026 tournament may become one of the most technologically advanced events ever created in human history. Artificial intelligence, cloud computing, cybersecurity, data centers, autonomous transportation, and massive digital infrastructure. All of this will be required to operate at a historic scale just to support this global event.
Just think about the invisible digital interactions happening every single second of this tournament. Every ticket scanned, every global live stream buffering, every security system monitoring the stadiums, every crowd movement analysis ensuring public safety, every transportation network, digital advertisement, online purchase, and streaming platform. All of it depends on massive, unprecedented computing power. This event is going to act like a temporary economic accelerator, generating extraordinary levels of internet traffic and digital data consumption across the globe.
And this brings us to a quote that really anchors this entire explainer. And for Americans with retirement accounts invested in the stock market, this matters a lot. Behind the scenes, companies connected to cloud services, AI infrastructure, semiconductors, cybersecurity, and data systems might experience enormous business growth connected to the event. If you have a 401k or an IRA, early positioning in these tech and infrastructure sectors could be exactly what helps shield your life savings from those economic pressures we talked about earlier.
Section 4. The two American outcomes. History shows us that whenever massive capital flows into concentrated areas, we see a stark split. Look at the investor reality. Global capital influx, real estate asset appreciation, surging tech sector growth. Investors are basically building generational wealth. But then, look at the consumer reality. Ordinary consumers are simply going to absorb the rising costs. Higher hotel prices, expensive transportation, crowded housing markets, and temporary localized inflation pressure. While the investors build wealth, the consumer pays the premium. So, the crucial point here is this hard truth. Many Americans may end up financially participating in the event whether they want to or not. You might be sitting there thinking, well, I don't even like soccer, so this doesn't affect me. But avoiding the sport won't protect you from the crowded local housing markets, the increased local demand, and the rising short-term costs in these key host cities.
And this is exactly what we mean by a wealth shift. It's defined as when massive capital flows into concentrated regions, allowing early positioners to benefit enormously while others simply absorb the rising costs. Large economic transformations, they rarely announce themselves clearly. Most wealth shifts happen quietly, slowly, right in the background, exactly while the majority of people are distracted by sports headlines and, frankly, the stress of daily life.
Which brings us to the core thesis of our explainer today. Historically, the people who understand where capital is moving before everyone else are usually the ones who benefit the most when the transformation finally becomes obvious to the public. The 2026 tournament represents something much, much larger than a game. It's a global financial event unfolding directly inside the American economy, influencing technology spending, corporate investment, and yes, your retirement portfolio. The world is coming to America in 2026, but the real story is not what happens on the field. It's what happens to the money afterward.
Which leaves us with one final, absolutely vital question to ask yourself as this event approaches. Will you participate as a consumer, simply absorbing the rising costs and watching the spectacle? Or will you position yourself to be a beneficiary of this $41 billion economic machine? The wealth shift is happening. Your role in it, however, is entirely up to you.